It's too darn hot to sleep. I believe I'm sleeping around. I'd like to call on my baby tonight, and I'd give my all to my baby tonight. I'd like to call on my baby tonight and give my all to my baby tonight, but I can't play ball with my baby tonight. Too darn hot. It's too darn hot.
Hey, this is Jasmine Guy, and you're listening to Upfront with Ray Cornelius.
You just heard the voice of Stanley Wayne Mathis performing Too Darn Hot from the smash Broadway musical Kiss Me Kate during the 2000 Tony Awards. The veteran stage actor who has appeared in such iconic shows as The Lion King, Jelly's Last Jam, and You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, is back on the scene with a new virtual production titled Preachin To The Choir and Inconvenient Truth. The play is described as a multimedia memorial choreo poem following a young Black Lives Matter documentary student activist, Justice Jamal Obatala, as he attends the annual Afro-Punk Festival in New York City. This year's celebration takes him on a unique path when he befriends a homeless woman known throughout the community as Neighborhood Nana. The entire experience is documented on his cell phone, but is he the documentor or the documented? I caught up with Stanley earlier this week to chat about the inspiration behind his new project and much more. Stanley Wayne Mathis, welcome to Upfront. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we're super excited to have you on the show. This is your very first time, and any friend of Patrick Riley's is a friend of mine. He reached out and said that he had this amazing opportunity, a virtual presentation, if you will, of a show that you have written, produced, directed. You're wearing all the hats for this piece. It's called Preachin To The Choir, an Inconvenient Truth. And it's a really different perspective of a journey of a young activist journalist that's on his way to enjoy Afro-Punk, and those who are into music know exactly what that festival is all about. It's all about music, art, freedom, freedom of expression. And on his way to this amazing festival, he meets this interesting individual that will probably open his eyes to a whole lot more than what he expected. But I don't want to give it all away. I'm going to let you talk about this. So let's talk about Preachin To The Choir.
Yeah. It was really born out of it really is born out of a culmination of all of my experiences, and especially I've been in New York since 1983. So I have been going to a lot of these festivals every year. There's Dance Africa at BAM, there's the Afro-Punk, there's Harlem Week in August, there's the 4th of July African Fest at Commodore Park. And I've been going to some of these festivals for as long as almost 25 years. And I stopped to ask myself, why do you go every year? It's not like you don't know what to expect. You've bought enough stuff, merchandise, and enough drag to open up your own stand or your own shop. It's not anything you haven't seen before. And I realized that it is like communion with the community. It is that, but it's not only but that community also extends itself to our ancestors. So if you're gonna throw a festival celebrating them, they sure enough gonna show up. And so I realized that that's what that does for me. And so that's how I set it in that setting. I put it in that setting. The other thing that brought about the piece is that when I'd been on tour for 3.5 years with the Book of Mormon, you get home, all of a sudden, you have to put your life back together again because you've been living the road life. I'm not a big social media person, but every morning when I'd wake up, I'd go to Facebook. Somehow I know what to do when I'm on Facebook. I can get around that. Instagram and all that other stuff starts freaking me out, but I'm learning. But every morning I'd get on there because they have the birthday calendar. So I can't remember people's birthday, but I get on there and I'd say happy birthday to everybody. And then you click on those links. You start picking on post. And every day, every other day, there was a post of a police brutality, a police shooting, a police beating, a police tasing, unlawful traffic stop and frisk, you name it. It was right there. And to the point where you could witness somebody being actually shot, like live stream. That's the difference from, what we have this technology now, that you witness it, you see it happening. And I'm from Washington, D.C., and at the time I grew up there, it was called the Chocolate City. So I've always been, very politically astute, and they used to call me the militant minister, because I was, that's just me. You get to New York, it becomes a whole nother thing. La la la, Broadway. You try to quell some of that and put it aside, because there's certain rooms you just can't talk about everything. But here it is. It's in my face every day after day, all the time, constant. Like it's like we're on some kind of hamster wheel or something. And it occurred to me, I'd start writing about it. So when Tamir Rice got killed, shot, I'd write a poem. I guess that was my way of processing it and releasing and dealing with it. Sandra Bland, I'd write a poem about it. So I started writing a poem about these incidents. It would just start pouring out of me. And I hadn't written in years. I'd gotten to a point when I'd moved to New York, all of a sudden I felt like I didn't have anything to write about. So I hadn't written in years. But all of a sudden it was just coming. And before I knew it, I had over 200 poems. And I'm going, okay, so what you gonna do with this, dude? What you gonna do with this? And I thought to myself, well, Stanley, why don't you write yourself a show? Write yourself a show. You got enough material to write your one-man show. You got enough material to write a multimedia show, enough to write your memoirs, enough to write poetry. You got enough stuff here. And so that's what it started me down that road of Preachin To The Choir, An Inconvenient Truth. The title, I love using Americanisms. That thing that is the very fiber of America. There's certain sayings that everybody in America knows. Who hasn't heard you preaching to the choir? We all know that, you know what I mean? But then I decided to follow it with an inconvenient truth, because I wanted people to know that this ain't Hello Dolly. And this ain't one of them black church musicals with a lot of happy gospel songs and stuff. An inconvenient truth. So I'm letting you know what you're in for. This ain't the Lion King. This Five Guys Named Mo. No. So Preaching to the Choir, Inconvenient Truth. I wanted to have a conversation amongst us. I wanted us to talk amongst ourselves, to address the trauma that we are constantly experiencing, that we have been experiencing since 1619, and we have yet to deal with it.
And how did COVID play a role in you bringing this inconvenient truth forward? Because you really were, like many of us, stuck at home, couldn't go anywhere, and we had a whole lot of time on our hands. So how did COVID play a role in you pulling all of these stories and all of the poems, all this stuff together?
It just gave me the time, because I had started before COVID, of course. I had started back in 2016. So I had started, and I had done a couple of table readings. I'd done 3 table readings. And then when COVID happened, I actually put it away, because I thought, Lord, ain't nobody gonna want to hear this with all of this madness going on. It's the last thing anybody's gonna want to hear, I thought. And I think about 2.5, 3 months into COVID, it was quiet as far as police brutality and all. It just seemed like, well, ain't nobody died in the past month or two. This is interesting. We're all wrapped up in COVID, but all of a sudden it came right back in, and I was like, oh, I guess things haven't changed that much. And Kimberly Jawan, who's my producer and also one of the performers in the show, called me up one day to say, Stanley. I said, what, Kimberly? What you doing with your piece? I said, girl, I ain't doing nothing with it. I put that away. I figured don't nobody want to hear about no police brutality and none of that. with this madness going on. Everybody's preoccupied with that. She was like, no, you need to do it because the time is right and it's relevant and you need to blah, blah, blah. And you need to do some type of virtual treatment of it. I was like, oh, girl, now you going into that field. I don't know nothing about birthing no babies, Miss Scarlett. You know, I don't know anything. I said, YouTube. She talking about YouTube and Facebook Live. And I was like, whoa. That's out of my league. She says, well, if I can find you a director who knows his way around that, would you do it? So it was kind of like an offer I couldn't refuse kind of thing. I was like, and I was still kind of like, yeah, okay, you know, whatever. If you can, yeah, sure. Not really expecting anything to come out of it. And she got this guy to call me, and he, you know, his name is Damone Seraphin, and Damone called me like within the week, you know, he read the play, and I said, so you get it? He was like, oh yeah, I get it, and blah, blah, blah. And we had lunch and we talked about it and all of that. And so things begin to fall into place as I credit the ancestors for that, because I think they were the ones that had these words pour out of my body in the first place. It seems that people and things and places and things begin to be put in my path for things to happen. It's like I didn't have an excuse. You know, I couldn't say, well, ain't nobody call me. That's just not happening. It's just things are just happening. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to continue to listen to the ancestors like I have been through the whole writing of this thing, and let them guide me through it. And I say the ancestors because I had recently had become very interested in African spirituality. I was teaching a class, acting class for my students called Sankofa. And Sankofa in the Ashanti language means to go back and retrieve what is rightfully yours. And so I was teaching this class to my students, and they were all students of color. I said, look, you can't invite your white friends to this. Y'all can call it what you want. You can call it segregation. You can call it whatever the hell you want. This is not for your white friends. This is for you. There's no other class in this city where you all can go back and study Black writers and playwrights and artists who wrote specifically for you. Half of you don't know these people. You've gone to college, you got degrees in theater, and half you don't know who August Wilson is, have never read an August Wilson play. You don't know who Ntozake is. You don't know who George Wolfe is, and George Wolfe is still alive. You don't know Zora's work. You don't know Langston's work. I said, that can't be. That can't be. I said, and it's not your fault, because all of y'all were born after integration. See, before integration, we all went to Black schools and Black colleges, so we knew this information. They took you, put two of you in a white school across town, and took another one you and sent you to California, another one of you, two of you upstate. I said, so there was never enough of you in the room to even do a Black play. So it's not really your fault. So you come out of that with these degrees in theater, and you don't even know how to do your own language. I said, Shakespeare is a language play. So is August Wilson. So is Zora Neale Hurston. And you got the Brits are coming, or the Black Brits are coming over here doing a better Southern accent than you are. So I'm very proud of you. You're very intelligent, very articulate. Now go back and get your...
You've been on Broadway. You've done several shows for decades now. How difficult of a transition was it for you to go from being the performer to now pulling all of these things together? You had been writing things, like you said, and jotting things down, but how difficult was it for you to transition from the performer to the director and creator?
Not very, actually. Not very difficult. It was actually kind of a relief to put on those hats and be in control of, once again, my own destiny in a sense. Doing it for yourself. I'd been on Facebook yakking at people about buying Black and supporting Black and doing Black, Black. I opened up a Black bank account, and I would do all these things to support, because I know economically that's one of our strengths. We just don't use it for our benefit. So it wasn't that big a it wasn't that big a transition for me. I was ready for it.
Stanley, thank you so very much for being a guest today on Upfront. You can get more information about Preaching to the Choir and Inconvenient Truth at WCLK.com. Stanley, thank you so very much.